Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you're watching this, checking in with you guys early today. It's about 6:30 in the morning on a Thursday, and I'm headed to the gym to get my morning workout in. Now, in all honesty, I usually wake up at 6:30 and I'm at the gym around 7. And I'll be honest, some days I'll wake up at 7:30 and I'm at the gym by 8. So one of my number one goals right now is consistency as far as my wake up time. Now, I am proud to say that I've been consistent as far as waking up and going to the gym goes. You know, I've been staying on track with that, doing that about 5 days a week, but I definitely want to get better at having a specific time where I wake up and I'm in there every day. So, this isn't like a gym vlog, by the way, for those watching. I think fitness is a huge part of my life, and it should be a part of, to be honest, everybody's lives because of how useful and helpful it is when it comes to improving one's overall well-being. But, for those who don't know me, which is a lot of people because this is like one of my first videos, my ultimate goal is to become a keynote speaker or a motivational speaker. I want to inspire people, and as much as I love fitness, and recently just got back into it, but I love it because it's been helping me get my mind right, my body right. It's not my ultimate goal, so this isn't a gym vlog. But once again, it's a key factor when it comes to improving your life. I think it's actually one of the first steps a lot of us should take if we want to get ourselves on track, our minds on track. Now I'm challenging myself in two ways today. One, I woke up, fairly early today. Oh wow, this is big truck pulling out in the street. One, I woke up fairly early today. And two, I'm actually going to be recording myself doing workouts in the gym. And I think I'll be tackling two struggles that a lot of us have as humans, which is putting ourselves through pain, doing hard things, pushing ourselves past the norm. And also, a lot of people have the fear of putting themselves out there. Like, for example, me recording in the gym, it's not something I'm really comfortable with. One, because I've never really done it, never really seen the need to do it. But two, my mind is already thinking to itself like, oh man, people are going to judge you. They're going to be looking at you. Like, why are you recording? They're going to be thinking like, who is this guy? He's not even like fit like that. What does he think? He's Sam Sulek or somebody? Like, what is he doing in here recording? And to be honest, I don't even know if I'm allowed to record at the gym I go to, which I go to Planet Fitness. It's, pretty, I think it's a pretty good start from where I'm at in my fitness journey. Not too intimidating of a place. Though I wish, excuse me, I wish it did have more like free weights, like bench. I mean, I appreciate the Smith machine, but I do wish, it had a bench that was like not a Smith machine, just so I can control the weight on my own and whatnot. But, nonetheless, this is where I'm at, I feel like in order to be a motivator, a good motivator, I have to walk the walk, Now, I've always loved listening to motivational speeches and seeing keynote speakers, and you gotta really appreciate someone who can get you fired up. But I've come across a few of them that are like, you need to push yourself to the limits, and they look like super overweight and super out of shape. And this isn't me passing judgment on them, because at the end of the day, I think they're still doing a good job as far as helping people and firing people up. But it's like, that's just not the speaker I want to be. I want people to see me putting in the work and see the results of that work. When I tell them to push themselves and that they can do something about their life and change their life through effort and they can get results. I want them to see that made manifest through my own journey, you know? Who comes to mind now that I'm thinking about it is like David Goggins. Like, so much respect for him, man. He's pushed himself so hard. I mean, based off his story, based off of the stuff you see him do online, I'm not trying to be a Goggins. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not saying I won't be, but baby steps. I'm not gonna go out there and do a 120-mile run just yet. But much respect to him, because he's inspiring people by putting in that work. So some of you may have seen some of my other videos that I might have posted, but for me, it just came down to, I got tired of mediocrity. Like, I feel like most of my life, I'm in my 30s, my early 30s, I played it safe, like almost all of my life, and I thought that was a good thing, because it kept me alive. But now that I'm like at the midway point of my life, like 30, in my early 30s, which some people be like, oh, you're still young, you're not at the midpoint of your life. Well, think about it. I mean, the average person lives to like what, 70, 75 maybe, 80 or more, possibly. Not as many live that long, but the point I'm trying to make is, if we're living to like 75 on average, I mean, once you hit your like early to mid 30s, you're like halfway through your life, bro. Like, but I digress. I feel like I played it safe up until this point in my life, and I'm grateful. God has been good. I've lived a pretty decent life, but I also feel like I lived a boring ass life. Like, I didn't travel much. I didn't do a lot of super cool shit like some people do, and I'm not comparing my life to anybody else's. I'm just taking ownership, because it's my life. In fact, the matter is, I don't feel like I took a lot of risk in my life to live to the fullest. And I'm at a place in my life now where I'm ready to do that. But granted, it's a little more challenging now. I got a wife, I got kids, and anyone who's married with children knows what that's like. It's not easy to just, like when you're a young bachelor, to just do what you want, when you want, how you want to do it. So I got to play the game a little different at this point in my life, and I'm looking to achieve results and manifest certain experience, not just in my life, but in the lives of my wife and kids. So I'm waking up and I'm putting in the work today, and I'm putting myself out there on YouTube and in the gym, at least today, recording my workout, which, hey, don't judge me. Once again, I'm not like a Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sam Sulek bodybuilder kind of guy. I'm just going in there to get more fit over time, and hopefully, as this channel evolves and as I evolve as a person, you'll see my workouts become more evolved as well, my fitness level become more evolved. So, but nonetheless, this is just to show you guys that work is a part of the journey. Effort is a part of the journey. The first step to becoming someone you've never been is to do things you've never done. And for a lot of people have never really worked out outside of like physical education in school, So I was always athletic. I always played basketball, I always played sports. But I've also, once high school ended and college ended, I've had periods in my life where I was like really overweight, and I would lose that weight, but something would spark that motivation. I think the first time it ever happened was when I was in a relationship and I got dumped, and I was like, just so tore up. That was like the first relationship where I just felt hurt, you know, because a girl left me. And I went to the gym. Like, I had to get rid of this pain in my heart somehow. And you know what actually happened was my roommate at the time, he bought, we were all, me and my buddies, we were renting this house, and we had a garage, and he bought a bench press workout set, and he put it in the garage. And man, I tell you, that's like the best shape I ever got in my life. Just going in the garage and bench pressing and squatting, and you know, and I had my cousin there with me, and he was working out with me, and he was getting jacked too. And I lost so much weight, but at the same time, I put on so much lean muscle. All I was doing was eating chicken, like going to Kroger, getting a rotisserie chicken, and just eating it, tearing it apart like a savage. But yeah, I lost a lot of weight that time. And the second time was during COVID. You know, I was working this job where I was traveling across the country, living in hotels, just driving and going to my hotels and chilling out after work. And I put on a shit ton of weight. And COVID hit. And to be honest, I just got tired of being on the road. At that point, I just wanted to go home because I was away from home at weeks, months at a time. And I just ended up going back home to Atlanta at the time. And you know, with COVID, I'm locked down. So it's like, what else to do other than lose all this fat? And honestly, you know what really inspired me to lose that fat though, what sparked it, was I was messing around with this girl, and I was so overweight that the sex was so bad. Like, I could not put in any work in the bedroom. Like, I was overweight, I was tired, I was sweating, and I told myself, like, nah, bro, this can't be you. You gotta do better than this. And that motivated me, and I lost weight the second time. Then I got married and had kids, and that put on a whole bunch of dad weight. So what sparked it recently was the revelation I told you earlier. I want to be a better man. I want to be a motivator. In order to do that, I got to put the work in. So, and I want my kids, my boys, seeing their dad grow up not reaching his full potential. So, at any rate, we're at the gym now. I'm gonna cut the camera here, get it set up in the gym, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all. So we are out of the gym. Great day at the gym. Had a really good workout. Very good workout. So I would say the recording part went pretty well. Kinda. You know, I got some okay shots. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't get the best action shots that is possible for me to get. To be honest, it was a little awkward, right? You know, it being my first time in the gym recording myself, and I didn't go early enough for my comfort level to do this, because this is like the busiest I've ever seen the gym. You know, like I said, I usually go, at least this past week I've been going around like waking up at 7:30, getting there by like 8 in the morning. Today I got there, I think I got there like a little bit before 7, and it was just packed. So, you know, trying to set up the stand to record was a little bit awkward for me. So I didn't get the best shots, but you know what, whatever. It's a step in the right direction, right? Because that was my first time doing that, and I was completely nervous and a little uncomfortable about it, just because of my own thoughts about other people's perception of me, when in reality I was probably like judging myself more than anyone else was judging me. So next time I do this setup, I'm gonna be a little more confident about it. You know, I'm gonna make sure I get the right angles, have things set up better. But nonetheless, it was a great workout. I'm glad I woke up and I got it in. You know, it just feels good to start my day with a win. And you know, that's really what it comes down to, right? A lot of people think it's about, you know, get rich, get famous, blah blah blah. Bro, it's not so much about the reward at the end of the journey as it is the person that you become on the journey, right? It's about who you become and the work that you put in to get that reward. Once you get the reward, it's cool, right? You know, but that feeling of receiving the reward kind of fades. The lasting effect is who you became on the journey to achieve that goal, to get that reward. So every day I wake up and I put the work in, I feel good. You know, I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I don't need to be, don't even necessarily want to be. Really what I want is to make impact. And in order to do that, I'm gonna have to have a certain amount of reach, a certain amount of influence, yeah, but I can care less about the fame. But yes, it's about waking up and getting those wins every day, right? And in order to stack those wins up, you have to essentially do the things that you really don't want to do, right? You really don't want to wake up and make your bed before you leave the house. But something as simple as making your bed in the morning is a W. That's a small win, you know? That's something that a little extra that you had to do. That to be honest makes your life just slightly better, having a clean, neat environment. Going to the gym early in the morning, putting in that workout or getting that workout in. And I'm not talking about like going in there and half-assing it. I mean, like, genuinely, you woke up, you got to the gym, you put the work in and you get a good workout. Now I'm saying you have to work out like you're Ronnie Coleman or something like that. I mean, if you want to, you can, but you know, feel a burn, you know, get a nice little pump, break a sweat, put a workout in, get a workout in. That's a win. That's starting your day off with a win, you know? And it's like, before your day even really starts, before your work day starts, you know, maybe even before your kids wake up and you got to do your parents and stuff, you've already got wins under your belt. You've already got wins in your mentality, you know? So the next part of my day is essentially going, eating breakfast, and going to work. And I'll tell you, those days I should say, since I've been going to the gym 5 days a week, work is like so much easier to get through, you know? It's so much easier to do what I do, which I'm in essentially sales and marketing, SDR role. It's so much easier to deal with those rejections day in and day out in a sales environment when you've already got wins under your belt. So, you know, the fact of the matter is, we've all got goals, we've all got desires, we've all got things we want to achieve. And a lot of us know what we need to do to get there, but we just don't want to do it. There's so many people watching this right now, or so many people out there right now, who are feeling miserable because they're out of shape, they're low on energy, and they know all they got to do is go for a walk. At minimum, go for a walk. Go for a run, get a gym membership, but they won't do it. Maybe you're one of those people watching this, you won't do it. Why is that? It's like, we know what we want. A lot of us know how to get there. A lot of times it's simple to achieve what we want to achieve, but we won't do it. And the standards of being successful today are actually quite low, in the sense that the competition is kind of low, because most people are not willing to do what they need to do in order to achieve what they want to achieve. So, you know, if you're a guy out there and you're struggling to find romance in your life and you're out of shape, well, if you just go put in a little bit of work in the gym, get yourself to a nice, you know, standard level of physical fitness, you'd be miles above the other guys out there who are having a hard time trying to get romance because they're out of shape, you know? So just comes down to putting the work in, day in and day out. So once again, my goal in this life is to have impact and to change lives through the work that they see me putting in, and through the work that I put in, I can speak and help to motivate and inspire. Now, at the end of the day, motivation is really a small piece of the overall puzzle, because the fact of the matter is, you have to be able to get stuff done whether you're motivated or not. Whether I'm motivated or not, I need to go to the gym and get a workout in. Whether I'm motivated or not, I need to show up to work and do my job so I can get my paycheck and cover my bills to take care of my wife and kids and get them whatever they need to keep them happy. And I'm not really motivated to go to the gym every single day, 5 days a week. There's some days I wake up and it's just, I'm like slogging through it, you know? Once I start get going on the workout, you know, it gets a little better. But as far as work, I mean, you know, I didn't wake up one day or when I was a kid and say, I want to be in sales and I want to be an SDR and work my way up to sales executive. That wasn't my dream in life, you know? And I'm not saying I'm not grateful for the job I have and for the opportunity I have. I actually like the company I'm with, and I like my coworkers, and my job's, you know, pretty chill. But I say all that to say, I'm never really excited to show up to work. And I can take out the really part and just say I'm never excited to show up to work. Like it's not something that gets me going, you know? Now, granted, I'm not necessarily dreading going to work. When I first got in sales and, you know, I started dealing with all the rejection, it was hard to wake up and get on the phones and go hunting for business. But as with anything, you become acclimated to it. And some people, you know, don't become acclimated to the sales environment. It's too tough for them and they drop out. I get it. I had to really train my mental to not take rejection personally in the sales environment. But I digress. The point is, I'm not motivated to do everything that I have to do in order to sustain my life or in order to move the needle to push my life in the direction that I want it to go. I'm not always motivated, but it has to get done regardless, because the only other option is to live a weak-ass, mediocre life. The only other option is to have my family struggling because they can't depend on me to do what I gotta do in order to take care of them. The only other option is to have my sons looking up to me negatively. How come dad is letting us down? Not believing in me, not trusting in me. The only other option is to have my wife disappointed in her husband because I'm an out-of-shape fat slob that can't provide for her wants and her needs and can't help her to achieve the dreams she wanted, give her the life that she wanted, because she sacrificed a lot of her youth, or she is sacrificing a lot of her youth to raise our children. So it's like, I can't always be motivated. I just have to get stuff done, you know? And that goes for you guys out there watching that too. Male or female, whoever's watching this, just know, you know what you have to do in order to achieve what you want in this life. And whether you're motivated or not, you gotta get it done. Because the only other option is a life of disappointment and regret and frustration. And you don't wanna get to the end of your life and be saying, and say, what if, you know? You don't wanna have regret because you knew there was a certain point in your life where you had great dreams and aspirations, but you didn't have the courage to push forward to achieve those goals. Or maybe you were too lazy. You didn't want to get off the couch. You didn't want to stop playing the video games. You didn't want to stop watching Netflix. And then the years roll by and nothing in your life has changed other than the fact you've gotten older, you've gotten weaker, you've got less opportunities. You have to seize the day. Take advantage of what you have now. Tomorrow is not a guarantee. The next 5 minutes are not a guarantee. Only thing that's guaranteed is this time you have now and the work that you are capable of putting in to achieve what you want in this life. We all have different goals. We all have different aspirations. But the one thing that remains the same is we all have to work to achieve what we want, to get to where we want to go. And it's a good thing, to be honest, because it separates us in a sense. And I'm not saying separation is necessarily a good thing, but it separates, how do I put it, the cream from the crop, you know? The high achievers from the low achievers. Those who work hard and they put in the work and they want to achieve more, they get more in this life. They get more out of this life. They live more life. And I started this video by telling you, I played it safe a lot of my life. I didn't put in that work, you know? I always had dreams and aspirations, but I played it safe. I didn't put in the work. I was lazy. And now I'm in my 30s. I'm looking at the guys in their 20s when I was back in my 20s who were in their 20s, and a lot of them are living fantastic lives, you know? Because they sacrificed. And they've had great adventures and all that. And I'm looking at them thinking, you know, look, I'm not gonna have a pity party and live with regret. What I will say is I didn't do it then, I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna make a difference today. Every day I'm breathing, I'm gonna work my hardest to make a difference. So just pulled up to the house. Great workout. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day. Go put that work in. Be your best self and live your best life. It's your boy Joe, checking out.